Hello and welcome to this live stream. My name is Bård and I have with me not Vasil today, but Peter from the front-end team here at Crystallize.
Hello.
And the topic of today is basically about data quality and governance.
Okay, that sounds a little fancy. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that actually is?
Yes, I can try. So it's kind of two different things. So when we talk about data quality, to me that means what fields or components, as we call it in Crystallize, have to be filled in with how many characters. If you have an image component, how many images do you have to or can you upload? So this is more about ensuring that a single product is complete. This is what we talk about in Crystallize with data quality rules or content quality rules. The other side of this is governance, which is a fancy word of saying the process of creating, authoring product information or marketing content, right? So we'll dive into this today. We'll look into things like who can create what, which fields are available for which users. We'll not show that as we cover that in detail in one of our previous streams, but we'll go into how you can define the process of creating, enriching, and having quality control of the process of content or product information creation and enrichment in Crystallize. We're going to look at flows, and we'll also have a quick look at how we actually can create a custom app if you have some special requirements.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Can we maybe start with the content quality rules? Like, how would you set this up in Crystallize?
We can. So first of all, let me see if we can make the screen a little bit larger. So what you see here is standard product as we've been using several times in this live stream series. And what we would like to do now is to add some rules on how we can basically enforce the editorial team to input as good as possible content. And the way we can do this is to go into the shape definition. And as you know, the shape is the structure of any product or any type of content that you manage in Crystallize. Any particular things we should dive into? We can at least start with the name. What if we say that the name at least needs to be, I don't know, 10 characters, but maximum 200 for whatever reason? And maybe also the description field. What will we say there? Maybe minimum 100 characters, maximum 300, something like this. And similar, we can dive into this piece here, the SEO piece, which is typically what you would use for OG share or generating, Twitter tags and things like this. I don't remember exactly the sizing of this, but you can similarly go into the piece itself to define minimum characters. Let's say we do
10.
Minimum 10 to 140, I guess, if it's Twitter. And for a description, we could do, I don't know,
140, for example.
Started there. And is there a max?
420.
420, yeah. An image, I guess we just want to have one image, right? Okay. So that is an example of typical rules you want to set on, let's say, SEO data or type of data you want for social share. I'm going to update the shape also here, and then if we have a look here at the shape now, we see that we have limitations here, and we also have the limitations on the SEO piece. We've covered pieces before, but essentially this is a reusable set of components, and the rules are being defined actually at the piece level here. So that's an example of how you can add some data quality rules to your shape in Crystallize.
Okay, so those are the rules for the shapes, but how does that actually help for someone who has, for example, editor? So for someone, for example, like editorial users.
That's a good question, because if we now switch here to my editorial view, and I just do a reload just to get the new rules, we see here that some components below have invalid input. Now, if we start at the top, I just remove the content we had on the name, and we see here that we have a validation error. So it says minimum 10, maximum 200 as we entered. So if I enter some content, it will, well, remove the error. And same, obviously, for description field, where it says 100 to 300, so that you can control the different components and how much content you have to input there, basically. If we go down to our errors now, we see that we have errors on the SEO piece, and basically it's too few characters here. So what we can do then is what you always do if you want to generate awesome content: you cut and paste, right? We also have to have an image, so I'll just drop an image here. So that's it. That's how you can define content quality rules, and basically not allow publishing. You do allow storing, because whenever you change content in Crystallize, we do store it, but publishing will be disabled unless the validation is passing. And that's basically an example of how you can set up editorial limitations, or not necessarily limitations, but more guiding what is a complete product for you to, let's say, be able to publish so that it pops up correctly in your web shop or your app or wherever you're using it.
Nice. Can we also create some workflows for the quality control or some collaboration?
We can. We have also covered this in a previous stream, but basically we have pre-created here what we call a flow, which you can define with any number of steps. And the flows is a concept in Crystallize similar to what we call fulfillment pipelines, for those that know that, for order orchestration. But basically, a flow is a number of steps that are event driven. So if I, for example, move an item here, we will fire off a webhook that you can listen to, and you can connect this with different services. I can make one example here. If I'm editorially now going into this, let's take this philodendron, and I can now, well, first of all, I can actually send it to Flow, even though it is not complete, right? Because you might have one editor that is responsible for basic master data, and another is maybe adding the SEO enrichment data. So what we can do here is basically send this to a flow QA. I'm doing the stage new, and I'm selecting also a language, because you can send different languages for basically, let's say, translation flows or working on a specific market. Okay, so I've sent an item to the flow, and basically what I'm interested in then is, okay, how can I listen to changes here? Because the flows itself doesn't give me any information that something has happened. And of course, you might use different services, but we use Slack a lot. And I've set up a simple example where I get a notification whenever something has moved in a flow or being added to a flow. So here I got a notification that the philodendron in language English was moved to stage new in flow QA. Go here at your convenience. So basically, it allows you to listen to events and do some magic, send a Slack notification, or something more complex there. I can, of course, also show the concept of this. This is a little bit technical. Crystallize is headless, and this is for developers. But once you've defined a new flow, you can listen to events. So what I've done here is created a new webhook that basically listens to product added to flow stage. This will fire off a webhook to this Zapier endpoint. I'll show the setup in Zapier also. And basically what we're able to do here, since it's GraphQL also on the webhooks in Crystallize, you can actually choose the payload that you're sending with the webhook. And in this case, that is extremely interesting because I get the data for the event directly in the webhook catcher. Now, in this example, it's a very simple example. We catch a webhook in Zapier. And if you don't know Zapier, similar to N8N, it's a integration platform as a service, which is called, basically allows you to hook up different API services without actually doing any programming. So here I'm basically catching a hook. The only thing I'm interested in here is the endpoint for where to send my webhook from Crystallize. Send it to Zapier. And then from Zapier, I want to push this message back to our Slack channel. So in this case, we actually have just a definition of the Slack channel from the webhook, and we generate a message. And here it's quite simple. It's basically just a combination of content, and then you get all of the fields that are available in the webhook payload. So it's super simple to add, the first name, last name, product name, language, flow stage, and flow name, which is essentially what we have in the message here. So this means that you can easily hook up notifications whenever things are moving. So it generates notifications for you. Of course, that's a simple example.
Okay, that is all good. But what if I have some special requirements for channel validation or some custom processes?
Yeah, so first of all, it's kind of two sides of this, because one is what should you do on the events that are emitted from Crystallize. In this case, we just send a message. That's kind of a simple one, right? But it could mean that you have a flow of translating to Norwegian, and where you're basically having an initial stage and then an automatic translation stage, for example. You send it to ChatGPT, get the results back, move it to the next step, fire off a Slack message. Or you can do things of, creating automatic summaries, things that automation is actually good at, or classifying products according to a topic map. And that's examples of what you can do with the flows themselves. But there is more possibilities. So I have in another tenant here, which I'll show. It's basically the possibility of adding your own apps to Crystallize. And you can do that also in a side-by-side view. So, for example, if we want to have something as basic as SEO validation, but you want it to be specific for your product structures, you want to have some previews, or if it's validating for a specific marketplace, because different channels might have different requirements. So here we have a side-by-side view where actually the app itself is a plugin to Crystallize, and it allows you to use the APIs and have custom functionality for both visualization of channel-specific data, but also like here that you have validation, like it says should be between 120 or 140 and 420 characters, it says. And this can, of course, be done on, let's say, a product level, but maybe even more useful if you're doing it on a, let's say, category level, so that you're able to actually validate multiple items at the same time. Now, the apps allow you to have your specific channel validation rules, so that you can do, for example, like we showed here, checking all the items, are they at the level that they should be? But it could also be as simple as if you just want to, have a visualization of a particular channel. Like, okay, here we have a PDF generated from this product, and you want to have a manual quality control before you actually approve it. So you want to check, okay, this is good for PDF, but it might also be good for the web, right? So that you can have different side-by-side applications directly in Crystallize. So that's it in terms of the agenda today. We want to look into how we can basically add content quality rules to ensure the structure of the data that are being published, or the structure that is required before publish. We want to look into how you can have a custom process, so you can create a flow and you can hook it up with external API services, notifications, automatic processing, JSON schema validation is a typical one that you want to ensure that it adheres to all of the different channel requirements. And finally, also how you can hook in your own custom apps directly in Crystallize. That's all we had for you today. Thanks for watching, and do subscribe. We have a couple of more episodes in this Headless PIM live stream series. Next up, we will talk about language management. So again, thanks for watching, and thanks for joining, Peter, and see you in the next one.